Dear students, today we shall begin a new chapter, chapter 5, excretion to maintain homeostasis. In this chapter, we are going to discuss about the various excretory organs in our body, and also we shall discuss about the excretion in other organisms, and also we will discuss about excretion in plants. Okay, now we shall start the chapter. First, look at this picture. Here you can see a garbage dump. Have you seen such garbage dumps? You may have seen several such garbage dumps in our Calicut city itself. So, all are saying, or we all know that we should not dump waste like this, and this is not a proper way of dumping waste materials. We all are aware about this. But do you know what are the consequences or what are the problems associated with dumping of waste like this? What are the consequences? Yes, the first and foremost problem is that it will spread several diseases. The dumping of waste like this can be a reason for the spreading of several diseases. Then the next problem is that it will pollute our environment. It will pollute the soil, then it will pollute our air, then it also pollutes our water. And we know that the waste materials are of two types. One is biodegradable waste materials, and the next one is non-biodegradable waste materials. So the non-biodegradable waste materials like plastics are most dangerous. So we can follow a reduce, a reuse and recycle method, which means 3 R's. 3 R's. Which are the 3 R's? Reduce, reuse and recycle. So we can reduce the usage of non-biodegradable waste materials like plastic bottles, plastic covers and all. And also we can reuse those materials. Once again we can wash up all those plastic covers which we get from market, and we can use it more and more times. And also we can recycle those plastic materials. So now we understood that what are the consequences on the accumulation of waste in our external surroundings. And also we know that we should follow reduce, reuse and recycle method to reduce the accumulation of waste materials in our external surroundings. So is there waste materials are only there in our external environment? No. Waste materials are also there inside our body. So the accumulation of waste materials inside our body also can cause several problems. Then how the waste materials are formed inside our body? In external environment, we know that it's only because of the activities of human beings. We are simply throwing the waste materials to the surroundings and it accumulates, and it finally it forms a huge garbage dump. Then how the garbage or how the waste is formed inside our body? From where it is formed? So the waste materials inside our body is formed as a result of various activities that takes place inside our cell. So just consider these are the cells in our body. So various life activities takes place inside these cells, and as a result of those life activities, some waste products are formed, and two main waste products which are formed in our body is the nitrogenous compounds, which is formed as a result of the metabolism of amino acid and nucleic acid. So this is one of the waste that is formed inside our body. Then the another form of waste which is formed in our body is carbon dioxide and water, which is formed as a result of respiration. So which are the two main waste materials that are formed in our body? The first one is nitrogenous compounds, which is formed as a result of the metabolism of amino acid and nucleic acid. And the second form of waste which is formed in our body is that the carbon dioxide and water, which is formed as a result of respiration that takes place in our body. So how these waste materials reaches our excretory organs? And we know that these waste materials from our body is excreted out with the help of some excretory organs. We shall study the details later. So there are some excretory organs in our body which removes the waste materials from our body. So the elimination of waste from our body is known as excretion. Then how it takes place? How the waste materials from these cells reach the excretory organs? Let us find out. So just consider these are the cells in our body, and we know that we already studied in previous chapter about the tissue fluid. Are you remembering that? So in between the cells there will be some fluid which is known as tissue fluid. And near to these cells there will be also blood vessels are going just like this. Blood vessels will also be here. Then we know that the waste materials are formed as a result of various life activities that takes place inside these cells. So various life activities takes place inside these cells, and as a result of this the waste materials are formed. Then this waste materials from the cells moves into the tissue fluid. So just like this it moves into tissue fluid, and from tissue fluid the waste materials enters into the blood. And when this blood reaches each excretory organs, along with the blood the waste materials can also reach the excretory organs. So now we shall draw the flow chart of the movement of waste materials from the cells to the excretory organs. So from cells the waste materials moves into tissue fluid. From tissue fluid it moves into blood, and from blood the waste materials reaches the excretory organs. So this is how the waste materials from cells reaches the excretory organs. From cells the waste materials moves into the tissue fluid, and from tissue fluid it enters into blood, and along with blood it reaches the excretory organs, and these excretory organs excrete out those waste materials from our body. Now we shall learn which are the excretory organs that are present in our body. The excretory organs in our body include skin, lungs, liver and kidney. So the four excretory organs in our body include skin, lungs, liver and kidney. So first we shall learn about skin. So skin is an excretory organ which helps to remove the excess water and salt in our body through sweat. We know that sweat is expelled out through our skin, and this sweat is produced by sweat glands. So this excess water and salt in our body mixes with sweat, and it is expelled along with the sweat. Then the next one is lungs. So lungs helps in removing the carbon dioxide. How? We know that after the metabolic activities in our cells, the carbon dioxide is produced, or carbon dioxide is formed as a byproduct. And this carbon dioxide which is formed inside the cell mixes with tissue fluid, and from tissue fluid it enters into blood, and through blood it reaches the lungs, and from lungs the carbon dioxide is expelled out by the process of expiration. So this is how lungs helps in removing the waste, that is carbon dioxide, from our body. Then the next one is liver. Then how liver helps in the process of excretion? As a result of the metabolic activities of amino acid, we know that amino acid is the simplest form of the nutrient, that is protein. So when the amino acid undergoes various metabolic activities, a toxic product is formed, or a toxic byproduct is formed, and that is ammonia. Ammonia is the most dangerous toxic byproduct, and this ammonia reaches the liver through blood. And when the ammonia reaches the liver converts the ammonia into less toxic urea. And this urea is removed with the help of kidney. So the next one is kidney. So kidney helps in removing the excess urea which is formed from liver. So kidney removes the excess urea and also excess water, excess salt, and it filters our blood and it is removed. Those waste products like urea, excess water, salt is removed through urine. So kidney is the major excretory organ in our body. Now we shall learn an important topic, that is synthesis of urea in liver. So, while learning about the excretory organs, I told you that how the liver helps in excretion. How the liver helps in excretion? Yes, the amino acids, which are the simplest form of protein, undergoes various metabolic activities, and as a result, what happens? Various byproducts are formed, and among those byproducts, ammonia is the most toxic byproduct which should be removed from our body. So this liver converts the ammonia into urea, and this urea is removed with the help of the excretory organ, that is kidney. We already know these things, but do you know how the liver converts ammonia into urea? So we know that the ammonia reaches the liver through blood. So, ammonia reacts with carbon dioxide and water. Ammonia reacts with carbon dioxide and water in the presence of certain enzymes. And finally, it converts into urea. So, how the ammonia is converted into urea from liver? This is a very important question. So, how it is formed? The ammonia that reaches the liver reacts with carbon dioxide and water in the presence of certain enzymes, and it forms into urea. So, this is how the urea, or this is how the synthesis of urea in liver takes place. Now, we shall learn about formation of sweat. So we know that skin is the largest organ in our body, and the sweat is formed over our skin. Now look at this picture. Here you can see sweat glands, and we know that the sweat is formed from sweat glands. So where is the location of sweat glands? You can see this sweat glands. So around this sweat glands you can see several blood capillaries. So these sweat glands are surrounded with blood capillaries, and when the blood flows through this blood capillaries, the salt and water, or the excess salt and water, enters into the sweat glands, and along with this sweat, the excess water and salt in the sweat glands reaches our skin toe, and you can see as sweat drops. But only a small quantity of urea, water and salt is only removed through sweat. So children, today we discussed about the different excretory organs in our body. Then we discussed about the formation of urea in the liver. And finally we learned about the formation of sweat.